Hey guys, in this month's Book to Screen, I'm going to be talking about American Gods, based off of the book by Neil Gaiman. So, before I get going about this discussion on American Gods, I'm not going to have any mega spoilers in this video. I might have some very minor spoilers, but nothing like wild and crazy that's like super revealing, if you know what I mean. So, yeah, no spoilers for the most part, hopefully. But yeah, if you don't know what American Gods is about, it is based off of the very popular book by Neil Gaiman, and it just finished airing its first season. It only had 8 episodes, though. I'm kind of surprised about that. Most shows tend to have about 10 episodes. But yeah, it only had 8 for this first season, and it aired on the Starz network. And yeah guys, I loved this first season. And let's get this out of the way. I have already done a book review on American Gods, and let's just put it this way, I was not the biggest fan of the book. I was really disappointed by it. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand it. I was pretty bored for the most part. I didn't care about the characters, and I even predicted in my review, I said something along the lines of, I have a feeling I will enjoy the TV series more than I did the book. And sure enough, that ended up being the case. I loved the TV show way more than I did the book. Because for me at least, I just felt like the book was really long-winded. I felt like it just never went anywhere. I never cared about the characters. I feel like the characters lacked depth and personality. And I feel like the show was the complete opposite of the book in some ways. I feel like the show did a much better job of fleshing out the characters, fleshing out their personalities and their little quirks. And I just really loved how the show handled the variety of topics, you know, that are presented in the book, because there's so much going on in the book. Because the book is about, if you don't know this already, the book is about this battle that is being waged between the old gods versus the new gods. And if you don't know what that means, the old gods being the gods of like Norse mythology, Indian mythology, African, Egypt, whatever, you know, those types of mythologies. And then you have the new gods, which are the gods of technology, the gods of media, the gods of just, you know, modern things in our modern society. You know, things that have pushed away old mythology, pushed away the old gods. So this show is definitely very much a very contemporary show. It deals with very heavy issues and topics and very contemporary issues, you know, very important things going on currently in the media. And it doesn't shy away from those topics, whether or not you agree with certain things that are presented in our media, you know, certain political stances and whatnot. It's like the show did not shy away from certain issues. It doesn't shy away from the violence. It doesn't shy away from the sex and the nudity. There's definitely a lot of nudity in here, yeah guys, and it doesn't shy away from any of this. And it was also just a very beautifully done show as well. For me, sometimes I have a problem with shows that are very abstract, if that makes any sort of sense. You know, shows that are really flashy and they rely heavily on visuals, I suppose. And American Gods is very much a visual abstract show. It's really flashy, and the imagery, you really gotta read into the imagery, because the imagery means something greater and deeper than what it is on the surface level. And sometimes shows like that can be a little hit or miss for me. Sometimes they go over my head, it's a little too artsy for me, but American Gods, I think they had a fine balance of being artsy and abstract, you know, to the point that it's not distracting or overdone. I think it's done just right. And seriously, just such a beautifully edited and directed show. Just, I love the colors, you know, that's kind of the thing that stands out about American Gods for me, is just the colors, you know, the vivid colors and imagery that comes to mind. And like I keep saying, I really feel like, to me personally anyway, I really feel like the show is an improvement of the book, because I feel like if you already love the book, I think you will really love the show as well. At least I hope you do, because the show in some ways is almost fairly identical. It's just there's certain things that are much more greatly improved in my opinion. And definitely some of the greatest improvements are the characters, that's for sure. So I have my notes here. Let's go down the list of characters here really quickly. Starting with Ricky Whittle, who plays Shadow Moon. I already loved Ricky Whittle from his role on The 100. I was pretty devastated when he left The 100 for this show, but I think this is definitely the better role for him. And one of my biggest issues with the book by Neil Gaiman was definitely the character of Shadow. Shadow, there was no face. Okay, I could not visualize him, and I'm a very visual reader, okay? A very visual reader, and I just could not visualize Shadow at all. There was no personality, there was no depth to him. And I think the casting of Ricky Whittle was perfect, because he definitely, in his performance, he gave Shadow depth and personality, and I found myself caring for him as a character. You know what I mean? I felt for him. I sympathized with him. Whereas in the book, I never had those feelings for him. And I also loved the expanded role of Laura Moon, who is Shadow's deceased wife, because that's the big thing that happens at the very start of both the novel and the show, so it's not much of a spoiler. Shadow, he's in prison at the moment. He's about to get out of prison, but just days before he's about to get out of prison, his wife Laura, she's in a terrible car accident. She dies quite tragically. And yeah, Laura is played by Emily Browning, who I love. And I've seen Emily Browning in certain types of roles, and this is perhaps just one of the most different, unique roles I've seen her in. And in some ways, she's kind of a unlikable character, but there's something that you sympathize with her about. So yeah, I really love the expanded role of Laura Moon in the TV show, because she does have a huge pivotal role in the book, but her role just never really stood out to me, whereas I think Emily Browning really stood out to me in this show. And weirdly enough, my favorite episodes were episodes 4 and episode 7, because those episodes Emily Browning was in the most. And like I said, I don't want to sit and go into spoilers about either of them, but yeah, I love those episodes. 2 of my favorite the entire season. Of course, we got to talk about Mr. Wednesday, played by the great Ian McShane. What to say about Ian McShane's performance? You guys, there's nothing to say. He was perfect, okay? He was spot on, perfect, fantastic casting right there. And like I said, I wish I could go into spoilers, because, yeah, Mr. Wednesday, he's definitely a very mysterious figure. He comes into Shadow's life very mysteriously under some mysterious circumstances, and yeah, you just can't quite tell what's going on with Mr. Wednesday. But yeah, he clearly has this whole thing about he wants this battle between the old gods and the new, and that's kind of the big mystery, trying to figure out, well, which god is he exactly? And I think it's fairly obvious early on if you catch all of the references. And then Gillian Anderson as Media, the role of Media, that was brilliant, you guys. In the book, the role of Media, it's done in an interesting way, and I kind of kept thinking, well, how is that going to be presented on the show exactly? And I think they did that amazingly by using Gillian Anderson, because one of the first times you see Gillian Anderson as Media, you see her as Lucy from I Love Lucy on a TV screen talking to Shadow, and then yeah, there's another scene where she's playing David Bowie, which was interesting, and then another instance where she's playing Marilyn Monroe, and yeah, just so well done, you guys. Very clever and interesting. I loved how they used Gillian Anderson. And last, I have saved Mad Sweetie for last, you guys, played by Pablo Schreiber. Can I just say, Pablo Schreiber as Mad Sweeney, he stole the entire damn series for me, and I expect him to keep stealing the show. He was easily my favorite character. I loved every time he was on screen. I loved his interactions with various different characters. And is it just me? I kind of wanted to ship him and Laura. You guys, maybe it was just me. There was some sort of chemistry going on with Mad Sweeney and Laura. Just a very interesting dynamic there. And the thing is, they just totally hate each other's guts. You know, they totally hate each other. They can't stand each other. But there's still this fantastic chemistry between them, which is kind of why I want to ship them together. But yeah, Mad Sweeney, if you don't know, he's a leprechaun, so that brings in a lot of Irish mythology, which is fascinating. And seriously, he was one of my favorite characters, and unfortunately I just don't remember him too much in the book for whatever reason, which is strange. So yeah, I think he definitely had one of the greatest improvements from book to screen, in my opinion anyway, because easily my favorite character. So, yeah, you guys, that's kind of all I have to say about American Gods. I wish I could go on about it in more depth and whatnot, but that's the point of the comment system down below. Have you guys seen American Gods? What did you think about it? And I'm very curious your opinions, and be honest with me, because I know that the book is very, very popular, and I had a very negative opinion about the book, so I'm curious about all sorts of opinions. You know, if you were a book reader, if you're not a book reader, how did you feel about the show and whatnot? Just let me know. What were your favorite characters? What were your favorite moments? I think there's just so much that we can talk about with this show, because I think it's a very important show in some ways, and just the issues that it deals with, and it's just one of those shows you gotta talk about. So that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye guys.